Welcome to the Reinvent Your Life podcast, the show that talks about why we do what we do and how we can do it better.
Welcome to the Reinvent Your Life podcast. My name is Chaz Molesky, and today we are talking about the three things, only three things, that keep you from getting what you want in life. So undoubtedly, you're listening to this right now, stuck in some position or some manner of living that you want to get out of, or you want to work towards something else. Maybe it's something you want. Maybe it's a thing, a material desire, or maybe it's not. Maybe it's status or recognition. Whatever it is you're working towards, there's something that you want. We're creatures of desire. It's just natural. It's innate. All right. And the desires that we have are actually rarely unattainable, but we find ways to talk ourselves out of getting what we want because we just don't see it as possible. And this happens over and over again. And I can't tell you how many times I've gone through this mindset, but we start to discount our beliefs and we don't put all that stock into the idea that we can achieve what we want. And so these three things that keep you from getting what you want will always resurface if you don't learn how to overcome them. And that is the purpose of today's episode. So listen, if you have not listened to any other episodes or this is your first time listening, welcome to Reinvent Your Life. This is where you learn valuable skills, very quick lessons that you can implement right away to start living a better life and reinventing yourself into the best version that you want to be. So if you have not listened to any episodes, please feel free. I encourage you, go back, listen to them. Right now we're on episode 9 and we're only going to be going further. All right. You get a new episode released every Monday and every Tuesday and every Friday. Please go back, listen, love it, and then stick with me as we move forward, especially in this, because now we're going right into the three things that keep us from getting what we want. Number one, the first thing that keeps us from getting what we want is doubt. All right, I want you to take a moment right now, and I want you to think of something significant that you've wanted to have in your life. Now, this can be a past example of something you've already achieved, but you're thinking back to the first time that you thought about having that thing, or maybe there's something in your future that you want that you have not achieved yet. But right now, I want you to take a moment, and I want you to think of it and really spend time in that mindset. Think of that thing or that status, that recognition, that significance, whatever it is you're desiring. I want you to think of that right now. Take a moment. Some things we want are good and some things we want aren't so good, but it doesn't matter. Take a moment and think about it. So I want you to imagine what it is that you really, truly desire, because I want you to see the emotions that come up when you start thinking about it. Probably when you start thinking about those things, it elicits great emotions: happiness, joy, elation, fulfillment. You start feeling like, yes, that's what's missing. That's what I need. Yes. But then in the actual pursuit of getting to that point, of achieving that goal, getting to that end result, when we start to put that work in and you start to think about what it would take to actually get there, what does that really look like for you? And what comes up as a result of thinking of that? Now, as you were visualizing what you wanted, did it seem more like it was just a dream, or did it seem like a reality? Did it feel like you were destined to attain that thing, or that it would just be nice to have? If it felt more like a dream than reality, your belief system definitely needs some work. And it's understandable because so many people go through this hesitation. All right. So the first thing that keeps us from making change, the first thing is doubt. What will never cease to amaze me about humankind is our unrelenting ability to lose faith in ourselves. And even worse, we tend to count ourselves out before we even begin. So doubt will stop you in your tracks and could result in you getting off the tracks entirely. Because by letting doubt cloud our vision, we begin to eliminate possibilities. And we delete outcomes because we don't know if they'll happen. We don't trust our abilities enough. Doubt is usually the result of a lack of information, or more prevalently, certainty. If we're lacking the certainty that we have, that we know that we're going to be successful in the end, whatever it is we're pursuing, then we're going to doubt our abilities to actually achieve it. And if we don't know what will happen in the future, and we're lacking any of the necessary information to know without a shadow of a doubt that what we want is possible, we'll begin to doubt anything that surrounds that idea. And typically, doubt is the catalyst for inactivity. As soon as we begin doubting ourselves, we stop putting in the same level of effort that we did when we knew without a shadow of a doubt that we could achieve it. And when we doubt ourselves, we're less likely to put forth that concentrated effort towards getting what we want after we've stayed static for a little bit. And if we doubt ourselves long enough, we come into the second element of this dream robbing, and that's fear. All right. The second thing that keeps us from getting what we want out of life is fear. And fear sucks because it can come up at any time, especially if you've trained yourself to respond to fear in a negative way. You'll always be looking for fear. And you know why fear really sucks? It's because it's not real. This isn't a tangible thing that you can actually see and grab a hold of and get rid of. This is something we create. And the more fear that we create, the stronger it becomes in ourselves. Fear is a product of what I like to call the what if factor, right? What if my business fails and I go broke? What if my significant other leaves me? What if I get what I want and I'm not happy? Or what if it's not really what I want? What if and what if and what if? And we consistently do this to ourselves. And we tend to assume the worst case scenario will always play out and that the best case scenario is a pipe dream. Yet both scenarios are equal in reality if you have not yet attempted going after what you want. What you focus on most will determine what kind of effort you put into going after your dreams. And when you focus too much on your fears, you come into the third thing that keeps you from getting what you want, which is hesitation. So real quick, I want you to think back. Remember when you were young and all of your friends were learning to swim underwater? Maybe you do, maybe you don't, but this is my example. This is what I always go back to when I think of a time where I hesitated, where hesitation was happening. So I specifically remember being terrified to put my head underwater because I was afraid I was going to drown. And even though all of my friends were doing it, I couldn't pull myself to do it. I'd do the bare minimum when I was in a pool or when I was hanging out with them. I'd put my chin under and then eventually my nose. And I would dunk my face, but I wouldn't put my whole head under. I just could not pull myself to go all the way under. So one day I decided I was going to do it. I built up the courage and I was getting into the pool and I had the mindset of going underwater. And now, granted, I was like 5 when this was happening. Okay, so don't think that I'm, 18 years old, all puffed up, ready to go underwater in the pool with my friends. I was young, but it was a very big moment for me and a big moment for my development. So when the time came to go underwater, I froze. I was terrified. All my courage left. Fear was taking over and I was hesitating. I hesitated for like 20 minutes. I can still remember to this day, looking down at the water, thinking about going in. And I just couldn't do it. I couldn't take the plunge. I couldn't put my head under. So thankfully, a good friend of mine that was in the pool dunked me underwater and I had absolutely no choice or chance to really even think about it. So, was I startled and pissed and couldn't believe what just happened? Absolutely. But you know what? That killed the fear. That killed the hesitation. And as soon as I popped my head back up out of the water, I did it right again because I knew at that moment I had this certainty. I was like, oh, I was afraid of nothing. I was fine. I did it. I felt courage again. I felt so confident. I felt so accomplished. I was so happy with myself. Even though I wasn't the reason I went under, I was so happy that I survived. I made it out to the other side. And now I saw possibility and I saw chance. All right. So have you ever experienced something like that? Like the moral of that story is that my fear was producing my hesitation. And that hesitation was bringing me nowhere closer to my goal, which was going underwater. In fact, the hesitation was just preventing it from happening. So think of a time where this has happened to you, where you wanted to do something and you're right on the edge of doing it. You hesitated and you waited and that opportunity passed you by. Or you hesitated, waited, and you got what you wanted, but you didn't get it until months, weeks, years, decades later. Think of these times. Really dive deep into these times where hesitation has stopped you from getting what you want. Because what you're going to see with these 3 things that keep us getting what we want, our doubts, fears, and hesitations, they provide the recipe for limiting our potential and preventing us from getting what we really, truly want. And when we use them sequentially, we get used to the pattern. We channel our doubt, and our doubt knows that as soon as doubt is over, we're going to trigger fear. And that fear is going to trigger hesitation. And we run that pattern through our head, and we teach ourselves how to respond in this manner. So the key to getting over these is to kill the monster when it's young. As soon as you start doubting your ability, as soon as you start doubting possibilities or things that you might have in your future or could have in your future, as soon as that starts to happen, Find resources, find references that prove yourself wrong. Because if you can kill the doubt, if you can stop the doubt in its tracks, you will not escalate to the next 2 levels. Will you still feel fear at times? Absolutely. Will you still maybe hesitate here or there? Sure, maybe once or twice, but infinitely less than if you were just going through life on autopilot, letting this pattern surface and consistently take over your mind when you're trying to achieve something. So if you can cut the doubt, if as soon as you begin to doubt your abilities, you change the way you feel, you change your state, you give yourself a positive affirmation, you look up a resource that shows that it can be done, and you model it, you perform it in that exact manner, and then you build the confidence to know that there is no doubt. I can do this. I know I can do this. I've done it. I'm doing it. It's going to happen. When you can develop that certainty, you will short wire this pattern, or short circuit this pattern, so that you're going to breeze by it, and you're not even going to be fazed by the next 2 levels because you killed the monster while it was young. You cut the doubt before it creeped in and created a no-win scenario for yourself. So take this lesson, go out today. I want you really focusing and thinking back to times where doubt, fear, and hesitation held you back from doing something amazing in your life. And then I want you to start noticing the times that you doubt yourself and your abilities. And I want you to start building your battle plan to defend yourself against that doubt. And this can be subjective. This is personal to you. Build your battle plan to kill the doubt. And once you kill the doubt, you'll notice such an incredible increase in self-confidence and belief in yourself. You're going to feel like a different person. So, as always, apply this knowledge. Don't just let it sit in your head. And if you know anybody that needs to hear this, please share it with them. Don't forget to subscribe, and I will talk to all of you on the next episode. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Reinvent Your Life podcast. Now go out and apply what you just heard to start your reinvention. Please subscribe, rate, and share this podcast with those that need it most.